Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL. Race number 7 in the 2021-22 year of Season 2. So, I don't think I probably
Got that
didn't
right.
get that completely right, but hopefully, I think I got all the
I was
terms right.
tracking it. You did.
Some of the
Yeah.
connectors maybe not quite, the way they ought to
You
been.
mixed around. You mixed it around a little bit, but you still hit all the bullet points. So
at least we got the right info out there. We're out on course. The course has been a punch in the face up front. Essentially, you're flying at 70 kilometers per hour downhill down this Governor Street thing out on Richmond Reverse. It's a total of about 32K. It's a tough course out there today, and we've had some upsets. It's a day for the T-tiers to shine, and so far we've seen a lot of that with a lot of the top teams not actually taking the top spot because I think the T-tiers have shown up to really prove a point.
yeah, we've seen some amazing battles. It's funny, Nathan. You would think that starting a team time trial with a nice couple K of descending would be leisurely, almost ideal. It's not, because to win this thing, as you've pointed out in previous races, you've got to pin it from the get go. And then you get into that, I jokingly call it the triple Lindy. You have to be over 50, I think, to get that joke. But it's a Rodney Dangerfield back to school joke. So we always seem to reference movies, dinosaurs, and birds a lot
When you
out here.
say
So
Triple Lindy, it makes me also think of Candy and
John Candy is
John Candy and Great Outdoors. For some reason, I don't know why. But
sure.
Great Outdoors comes to mind with Candy and with
Oh,
the
in that same troop.
same. It's in
Yeah.
the same time, I think, though, that like early '80s, late '70s
Same
movies,
kind of
comedy
humor.
movies. Yeah, same humor that was the Triple Lindy. All right, we'll leave that.
So
there.
what's not funny is doing Governor's reverse, 23rd Street reverse, and Libby Hill reverse. It's brutal. So you really have this, as you said perfectly, punch in the face to start the race, and it really never gets much better. We've learned that Richmond is a tale of two cities. You've got the hilly part, and then you have the flat in town, in the downtown Richmond area. But ultimately, this is a real test. With the World Championships of Esports coming up on Saturday and the World Tournament for team time trialing coming up on Thursday, this is the last day for teams to get one real, high level practice ride race. It's really not a practice though, because this is ZRL and this is week 7. We've seen some leagues, Nathan, where 3 teams have been tied for first. We've seen lead changes, and we've seen a couple different races where things are tightening up quite a bit. So it's a big day of racing out in Richmond. 32K, 2 laps, 16K each on this circuit. Only 280 meters of climbing, but it comes at you in a particularly cruel way.
Let's talk a little bit then about the standings, because we have had some pretty interesting battles earlier today. But in the women's side of things, the second place is the conversation here because Riot is completely walked away. I'm not sure. We even saw earlier today such big changes from the top spot down to, even teams that were in 10th, 8th, 9th place that were on podiums or close to podiums that really dominated and took out even the top team. But I think Riot, they know the team time trial. They've really proven themselves with how far ahead they are at this point. So the conversation here in this women's race for America's East Div 1A is really going to be about Wahoo Lacole versus Aeonian Dynamis.
Agreed. There's so much cross-pollination, Nathan, between WTRL with ZRL and then Thursday's team time trials, which are, coming into that 150 consecutive Thursdays. And the teams that have raced on Thursdays clearly have they're a step ahead during the team time trial events in ZRL. And we saw that today, without any doubt. Case in point, the Rachel Elliott doing an amazing job with the Sox for Watts team. That was one of many stories that we saw already today. I would not expect Riot to disappoint here, but pointing to the Aonia and Wahoo. That's going to be fun watching Les Watt sisters, and they're a team that's been coming on strong and really doing their work, Nathan, with ATP Racing Stingers, one of the franchise teams that we see out here, a legacy squad. It's going to be interesting, and they've got out on the rivet the Cinderellas right behind them, sitting in sixth. Cryogen Gallopin at 84 points, has Sisu Du just three behind them. AF Solstice with 77 points, and then GLV Women rounding out a very competitive America's East Division 1 Women's Ace. So it's going to be an exciting day. They get right after it. We saw some of the teams going over 70 kilometers per hour on that first descent that brings them down to the bottom of the climb on Governors. Remembering this is the reverse UCI Worlds course, the 2015 Worlds, won by Lizzie Dinan. And this was Peter Sagan's first of 3 wins on this course. They did have a team time trial in Richmond, but they didn't race on this course. They started out at a university and raced into town, not using Libby Hill 23rd or Governors that day.
I had no idea that actually there was a team time trial. Cool information.
It was team, Nathan. Team was, it was trade team, not nations based. So it was it was very interesting. Not that popular, and it didn't last, but they tried it.
Now, as we do take a look here, we have the first time split coming in with a 12:13. Is that the fastest women's time we've seen come in at the 8 kilometer mark?
Oh, so it is worth noting the fastest team, or not fastest, teams with the most points start first and work our way down, which is unique to ZRL. But as Martin was letting us know, this is a very successful format here. I personally love having it work out this way. You see less passing, overlapping of teams, and thereby avoiding, hopefully, controversy.
No Pins R3R. No, KRT Rockets, who won EMEA, came through with a 12:03.
Oh my gosh.
They came in with a 12:03. So that may be the fastest split so far today for the women's. I'm going to double check the central real quick, though, and see what Saksha Watts came on through with. Saksha Watts had a 12:19. So really, that KRT Rockets team, they were flying.
And they won.
To the moon.
They held on.
To the moon.
Good for them. That was exciting. So 8K, 16K, and 24K are the checks. But Nathan, that's a really good point. KRT, you were really, it was exciting to learn that they were one of the very first teams in esports. And here they are having a renaissance day out there in a pivotal team time trial. This is the 7th of 8 races for the community of the season. Yeah, things have wrapped up for Premier, but community has another week of racing after this week. We're in with Anna Russell, legend Anna, but we're going to jump over to Bishop and OTR now. More times coming in, and Cinderella's at very respectable 12:19. It's going to be quite a race as Wahoo, LaPole, Americas, they are in with the 12:51. Nathan, I know it's a really hard course, but we saw a couple races finishing within 1 second of each other today.
Yeah, that there was
those men's
battle. Quite the battle in that men's crew. Yeah, there was one of them just coming right down to the final seconds actually today. So pretty amazing to see. Now I want to highlight here this OTR team right now because they just came in with a 12:19, and that's the same time that Saksha Watts had out of EMEA Central Div, the winning team. And so this goes to show you how competitive this America is. A lot of times you'll say the Europeans are the cycling, nations, that they have a lot more depth. And I do say that there is a lot more depth. Like you want to race hard, you go to Europe and you find a whole nother level because a lot of the pro teams, that's where they're racing out of when it comes to UCI events. So all of the world ends up heading there for those events, right? But there's still, this is comparable at the very top of the European times for the women as well. 12:13, 12:19. The only thing faster was that KRT time with the sweet potato V-win on that team. But that also came back. That wasn't too hot of a split because at the second time check, No Pins R3R was actually ahead of them by 5 seconds. And then KRT came back and tied it up at 24K and then ended up winning at the end of the day by bringing some negative splits from 16K on. But OTR, this goes to show that they're right there when it comes to team time trialing with the best in the world in the community. I'm missing your voice, Dave.
The
Gotcha.
first thing you think of when you hear that they have such a fast split is, well, did they hold on? Did they go out too hot? And what's amazing is no, not at all. As a matter of fact, yeah, that was back and forth in that race with one of the most exciting races of the day. And at one point, Nathan, I believe that we had at 8 or 16K check, weren't there 5 teams within 6 seconds of each other? So that's one lap
at the
in.
16K, it was
Right. I mean,
23:32
talk about
to
competitive.
23:38 between the top 4 teams. Only a 6-second difference between No Pins, Aeonian, KRT, and Cryogen Stelvio. All were a part of that conversation, and all ended up finishing within actually 12 seconds of each other by the end. So extremely competitive. And again, that just goes to reiterate that Riot and On the Rivet Cinderellas right now are showing that they're right there with those ladies at that top level in the West Division 1, which is the most competitive, I would say. Well, I mean, it's tough. Like, I try and make some comparisons. I mean, then there was also the situation with Sox for Watts, Zedsun, and SZ, along with the Canyon Esports Beta Women, who just don't have team time trial nailed down at all. And we might see something similar here with these some of these standings. But I mean, Riot, they've been so strong that I don't know if you can really make the comparison just because they're such a walkaway team when it comes to this. Wahoo Lacole, though, and versus Aeonian might be a conversation.
Let's watch their time today, Nathan, and compare it to like KRT, because it's counterintuitive what's happening here. Because typically, the harder the course, the greater the gaps are at the finish between the teams. But as has been the norm, you see grouping of teams where there'll be a couple teams racing around this one time and then another group of times clustering together a little bit later, just like you see right here. 6 seconds between 1 and 2, and then a gap, and then just 3 seconds between 3 and 4. Let's take a look at 8K. All the times have come through here as Riot, fastest time, 12:13, 12:19 for On the Rivet, the Cinderellas. Wahoo Lacole with the 12:51, 12:54 for ATP. Cryogen Gallopin, 12:54, 13:01 for Sisu Du. Then you can see it's AF, then Lewatt Sisters, then GLV, then Aeonian. And we'll see what it looks like after one lap. Now, the first half of this lap, even really the first third of the lap, is where all the climbing basically happens. And then this long, flat sector here through Richmond proper.
And WLC on screen. Guerra, this is one of the newer additions to the WLC crew and has been definitely their climbing legs. We saw her really have an amazing performance on Climber's Gambit, and now is showing us that she's got the power when it comes to team time trial, and she takes over at the front. Laura Perry, very experienced rider from WLC, Premier Division level for sure rider, just trying to close the gap back down to her as Perry pushes a solid 4.3 to get back on terms. But Guerra here now at 5.1. Solid 43 kilometers per hour, ramping things up, I think, at this point, knowing that some time has been lost. And perhaps this is getting some organization to find a way to get past the initial time lost and bring something back on the back end of this course. Dave, I got you muted again. You're muted.
Sorry there, that. Nathan.
Yep.
I should mention that Wahoo Lacole here has 4 riders, which is the bare minimum. They won't be the only team with 4, but no spare rider to deal with here. Everybody counts now. So you kind of have to lock things down at this point as they're about to finish lap number 1 of 2 here in Richmond.
And looks like Aeonian only 9 seconds difference, though. But the question I have here is Aeonian started. I want to say that they started second. Were they caught that quickly by Wahoo Lacole?
I kind of doubt it.
Between them. I mean,
because just Wahoo Cole's not on the fastest of times. They're third fastest here with the 12:51, but not enough that I would expect them to catch a strong team like Aeonian. Although, does Aeonian have three?
yeah, it looks like Aeonian is riding with 3 riders tonight. I'm looking to see if I can find a time for them. They're a little bit off the board, perhaps, as we had over 12, I think, in here. So Aeonian on the struggle. I have a feeling the Aeonian team trying to figure out where they slot in here on the start list. As ATP
They started with 4.
The
so one technical we saw. Oh, sorry, Nathan. I was just going to say they only started with 4, so they had 0 wiggle room. And one technical, which we saw a couple riders deal with today. So that's Katrina Weiss. Yax is the other rider, and is Yvonne also here?
It's probably the rider that got dropped.
So Josie. There's a
30-second gap between them. So I do think that they were caught and were the second ones to go out, is what I'm assuming.
They might have been waiting.
So Cole was the 2-minute gap marker. So it looks like Aeonian having a tough day out here today.
Yeah, I have a feeling maybe they were waiting for a rider that was having, what I'm saying? A lot could have happened here, but clearly just a day to forget for Aeonian.
Yeah, men just getting out on course. I do see the chat. The men's race is being covered here. We'll be jumping in with them. No times. Times come in at 8 kilometers. So there are no times yet for the men's. I can show quick images of them. And get an idea of the draft. They're out here hammering away on the front end of the race right now. The first ones to head out, as we do have Bird, Muir, Veal. There's some big names actually when it comes to Zwift racing here, as we look at Bergman as well as Sorensen on the back. So, when it comes to team time trialing, draft I think is one of those teams I'd be watching out for. Even though they are also ones to watch out for the win overall. I think when it comes to the standings, we take a look at it at 119 points currently right now. Ascent Cycling on the chase actually was racing with Jeremy Ray this weekend, and I think he is out there smashing it for Ascent. They're 11 seconds behind currently by the riders nearby list, but 111 Wahoo Coles 108. So really the battle for second is up for grabs. There's also a battle there for fourth, fifth there with Velocio and the Condors at 98 and 96 points there for fourth and fifth.
Well, Draft is a powerhouse team, no doubt about it, who really know this craft of team time trialing as well. I have never noticed that carb load sign before.
Where is that? Is there a carb load sign? Did I miss it?
Yeah, it's like a banner or a sign above a restaurant that says carb load. They just went past their Draft, I think it was, just went past it over on the right-hand side. It's very strange to be seeing something for the first time in Richmond.
Course in Richmond, of all places. I mean, today I saw a lot of new things on McCurry. I logged in on McCurry, and there was like this guy in a dragon suit, like yelling at people, and I was like, "That's interesting." Like, I'm just seeing new things. Downtown Neokyo. When you get on I was doing a badge hunt, and I did Neokyo all-nighter, and when you first log in, there's this guy like selling something, but he's just in like a dragon costume. And he's like yelling at and he like yells at all the people going by, and it looks like he's throwing things, but like it's actually really hilarious.
Wow.
I'm going to find him now and show him. I'm going to get a video of this because this guy is awesome. I was actually like smiling and laughing at him pretty hard actually while I was sitting at the start of the Neokyo all-nighter. So carb load, there it is. Bibs plus on the left-hand side. I like that.
It's funny, Nathan, because we were talking and this is now hour number 5. Is
actually about. Yeah. It's just the Easter eggs. That's all we talk about.
We get excited, especially in Richmond. My gosh. We were talking though. It was fun listening to Nathan talk about how the first race that they ever had here in Richmond. And the course goes back to that Worlds was 2015, and the Charlie Eisendorf story, which is well documented about him having to take a Zwift setup down to the headquarters of Worlds and show them what Zwift was to get them to approve making this course. I've always loved racing here. Most racers do like racing here, Nathan. But you can really see just the development, the process, how far Zwift has come when you look at things like what's going on McCurry Island compared to Richmond, which is really straight ahead. But at the end of the day, there's something beautiful about its simplicity.
Definitely. It's a racer's course. That's why.
It's a race course.
Yeah, it's a race course. That's all.
Yeah.
You don't show up on Richmond to have fun. I'm sorry.
You're not looking for Easter eggs.
Well, okay. I have fun racing, so I have fun, but it's type 2 fun. You're not really out here enjoying too much of the scenery. I would think Richmond is a race course. That's what it's for.
Yes, sir.
They did do a revamp of it, which
FRO.
They did make it prettier. I'll give you that. But I mean, there's 3 climbs, a flat, and you do it again. Or if you do the shortened version, you just do the crit course or the 3 climbs over and over and over again, right? So I mean, there's not much to it besides go race your bike, really. It's Claire Cameron using that arrow perfectly timed. Get them up into this 62, 63. The weight differentiations alongside of the differentiations in power, you can really see it here between the men and the women, though. They're going to get close to 70 here. They do hit 70, but the boys, they'll be hitting 70 a little bit earlier. They get up to 72 here, as you can see, as you're hitting 2.7 watts per kilogram now. With the power-ups are in play, yes.
Yeah. So I see some ride-ons being given to racers as well. Nathan, have you ever heard of so right now it's 32K of racing. This is the Riot team, the top team in the division, race 7. They've got a commanding 8-point lead right now. What they really need to do is just not mess it up out here, and which they're not. They've got the fastest time at the split, which is perfect time. So Nathan, I watch GCN, racing every morning when I wake up. I love bike racing so much. And they're at the UAE Tour right now, the first World Tour event of the year. And it came up, and I had never heard of it. I've been following cycling most of my life, and I'd never heard of the Golden Kilometer, a Golden K. Do you know what that is? Have you ever heard of it? Because I'm going to tell you, I had.
I feel like I've heard it once. I think I've heard that term once, but
it's a cool term, even, isn't it?
Yeah,
just
but I
term.
don't know what that is. I feel like I could really try and go into recesses and find it, maybe, but no, I don't know what.
Well, I could just tell you.
Yeah, tell me, please.
I could just tell you. I'll save you the trouble of having to do the research, right?
Yeah.
So I hope Martin is listening, because it's something we could add into it. So what you do is you have 1 kilometer that you put. They do it in Dutch and Belgian races, apparently. You take 1 kilometer and you put it somewhere in the race, typically in the back third, and sort of like a gambler's preem, but different. But you have 3 bonuses, 1 at the start of it, 1 at the 500 meters, and 1 at the end of the 1K. And each bonus has 3, 2, and 1 seconds at it. So this kilometer comes out of nowhere, and then it has 3 sprints in a row. Bam, bam, bam.
Wow.
The Golden Kilometer.
That's kind of cool, actually.
It's awesome. It's awesome, right? So I'm going to trademark that.
That's like some Mario Kart right there. I mean,
yeah, it's action too. It's e-sporty.
Super action. It's super e-sporty. We need a Golden Kilometer.
I invented it. I just invented it.
We need to have markers in game, special fences. Boom, 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 boom. There you hit each one of them. Martin's probably.
And it shows up randomly. You get a 1K to go to Golden Kilometer start, and it comes out of nowhere. You don't tell the racers where it's going to be.
No planning, just boom, there it is.
No planning. Huh. Yeah, you got to respond like an animal. Animal instincts.
23-22.
How good is Riot?
23. I mean, they're walking away with this one. The only question is 23-33 socks for Watts earlier today. No pins 23-32. They're showing us that they're maybe the best in the world when it comes right now to the community. I want to know
What
if they
about
have a better time
KRT?
at the end of the day. The KRT was a 23:37 at this point. It had slowed down compared to No Pins R3R actually. So,
Yeah, so
and then
they
they brought it
lulled a
back.
little bit.
Yeah.
Remember those polls that V Win was taking? I mean, some of them were 3-minute long polls today.
At
That
the
was
end of the race on
that
those
was hero
flats, she
stuff.
was up in that 5-6 watts per kilogram for quite a long time. So yeah,
She was like a motorcycle, like a moped that the team was sitting on. Like, so, you know what I mean? Like, it was an unbelievable ride today. I'm going to call. Tell me if I'm wrong, Nathan. Riot is the greatest community team of all time. They could have been promoted into Premier. They've turned it down respectfully and stayed in community. And I have to think that no team has won more races than Riot in the community. Some teams obviously were promoted, and if Next had been racing their entire time in the community, they would probably be at the same level as Riot.
a good question because I'm trying to
I
think.
know it's a little stacked. It's an unfair. You know what I'm saying? The metric
Riot
is
really
weird.
sticks out. Riot really sticks out. They have a lot of personality. They've got a lot of sprint with Grossman. They've got a lot of climb with Rathwell. They've got the all around and whiteboard with Anna. I mean, they just stand out. That's for sure. Sox for Watts were right there as well too, for a really, really long time. I would say on the women's side of things in the community. There's a couple of other teams out there, I would say. Like WLC were that. They were really standard, but they were newer to the scene. And then
Well,
they
boy,
moved up, right?
If the team that had Zoe Langham and Maud LaRue had been racing for, that would have been quite. Can you imagine week in, week out seeing that edition of WLC? So that's also when you talk about WLC, I kind of go, well, which one do you mean? There's like 18 different WLCs that have been relevant in the ZRL, WTRL, right? I mean,
True.
Men, women, up and down the rosters, or I should say the divisions, you see this Wahoo LaColle just incredible. Tough day for Aeonian, a team I'm
Yeah,
a
I just want to
big
shout them out
fan
because
of.
it is a tough day
Yeah.
because they are putting their heart and soul into this right now. You know, Yax is
These
just
are the-
absolutely burying herself to get a good time, I think, right now, at least to try and manage something here. As Katrina Weiss as well, long time esports racer, obviously, along with Rossendale here, coming out of Canada. So good ride by them. Tough day with only 3 riders, but they're still, it's similar to what we saw this afternoon with only 2 racers out there, still getting it done for WEZ. Aeonian with only 3 here at this point, still getting it done though for the team, getting out there, getting their workout in, and showing up. That just says a lot about them. They would show up and still make the race happen.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. When you talk about Kristen Yax, this is an athlete that has impressed me since the get-go and continues to. I don't know if anyone has a cooler name than Josie Rosignol. I don't know if you ski, Nathan, but that's
I
one
have
of
them
the.
in my. They're actually in my.
You have some
truck
Rosignols
right now. They're in my truck right now.
Josie's
Ready to be
Canadian. Oh, by the way,
on.
I saw you tweeting during the Olympics and noting that with so many Canadian flags up on my board right now, I have to say Canada, congratulations on the gold medal in the women's hockey. I don't know who won the men's hockey. I wasn't even following that. The women's was so much more exciting, to tell you the truth. Who did win the men's hockey? I know America got beat by Slovenia.
Yeah. I know that they got knocked out before we even got
A
in the
shootout.
Medal. That was ridiculous. Yeah. We gave whatever. We're not going there.
No, we're not doing
I can't
that.
believe
No.
we gave literally. That was the biggest throw in history of throws in the last minute. Come on,
bummer.
Big bummer.
It was a bummer.
Of course, all the Slovenians are like, no, it wasn't. It was definitely not a bummer.
It was one of the best moments in their Olympic history, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But Canada has won 5 of the 7 gold medals available through the history. Like they've only had 7 women's hockey golds handed out, so good for them. Couple of riders on Riot. We haven't shouted out the Riot roster completely. There's 3 Canadians. Evelyn Gagnon, like a canyon. She's a rock star.
She's de-essing tonight, I'm assuming. Yeah. She's de-essing tonight, it looks like, because she is not...
Anna's racing.
Yeah, because Anna's racing. Yep.
Yeah. Anna Russell. Have you ever heard of her before? Of course you have. She's a multifaceted triple threat. She's the director, she's the racer, and she's the broadcaster. Um, we are honored to have Anna as a colleague. She's a mom. Christina Grossman and Megan Rathwell, Canadian. Grossman, not Canadian, but huge hockey fan. Did you know that, Christina?
No, that's.
I think she counts herself as a hockey fan. I would say, and there she is as we take a look at Riot right now. So this has been, I'm going to say, if not the greatest of all time in ZRL, in that short list of 3 teams, 100%. These ladies have always been impressive. The guys are just finishing up lap number 1 as we split the screen. You were racing with J. Ray, huh?
Yeah, over the weekend, Kiss 100 was racing Kiss 100. Actually, it was quite the stacked field. There was at least 20 dudes coming out of the top 100 on Zwift rankings were in there. Kolchinsky actually raced it. I think she was the only woman that made it to the finish, actually. She was in the sprint with all of us, actually. She's flying for
I hope she has a great Worlds.
Thinking, she was like, beforehand, she let me know, I'm not sure I'm going to complete the whole thing. And sure enough, she full 100K and hung with all the boys. So really solid ride there from Kristen this weekend. Jeremy was in the race. And we allowed over the weekend on the Kiss 100. It was such a stacked field. And it looked like a little bit of like pre-Worlds practice, to be honest, because Cyrus sent the boys up the road, alongside of a couple of other teams. And next thing you know, there was 15, 16 riders off the front. I did not think it was going to stick. It went with like a lap to like first or second lap. And so it didn't cover it and ended up being a break that went. That rarely ever happens in Kiss 100. It's a big shout out, actually, to the.
Oh, really? It stayed away.
Yeah, it stayed away. It started coming back down, but it just got out
Spicy.
Too far and out of control. And there were too many teams represented up the road. So at that point, nobody wants to work, if that makes sense. But
no one wanted to chase back their teammate or be accused of chasing back their teammate, right? So
there might have been some chirping. There might have been some Nathan and some others chirping about what is going on? Come on, because all the solo riders without a team were a little frustrated, to be honest. But draft of the 2113 Wahoo Lacole Americas. It looks like
mountain biker. That's what I would say.
Yeah, 2126 here. 2136 for Ascent Cycling as you see them start their climb of the second time over the top of 23rd. And it definitely was mountain bike chatter. Kind of like, what the heck, the strongest guys won, though. There was some really serious firepower up front, actually, in the Kiss 100.
It's always a mix, isn't it? It's not the strongest. It's not the smartest. It's the right combination of those two on the day.
Well, Gavin Dempster was up there. I mean...
So I saw him in his Great Britain kit getting stoked for Worlds. I wish him good luck. You were talking about Kristen Kolchinsky. I know you joined me. It would be really cool for the community because she's pure community, man. She's not only, she's so community that she right now is, I'm sure, watching her teammate, a friend, Christina Grossman racing. Actually, she probably has got 20 friends out racing tonight. So obviously, Kristen, good luck to you at the World Championships. It'd be awesome to see that. She'll be in the mix. Nothing is going to come easy for anyone, but I would count on KK to at least be there when it matters.
Yeah, it's all about the punch and whether or not it's going to be there. It's definitely a very, very sharp climb quite a few times. So...
you know what I've learned, Nathan?
Be a punchy
Desire
rider alongside of a really, really strong threshold rider. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays.
A finish like that plays into someone who really, really wants it. Because you got to hurt. You got to really suffer. And that comes down to how badly do you want this World Championship? Separates the wheat from the chaff pretty quickly.
What is happening here? WLC,
complete
separation.
Descent. That would be so scary to do that.
Totally alone.
Those cobblestones were not smooth.
JPV with the rest of the WC band here, you just kind of let him go.
Is Diaz off the front or off the back?
Yeah, he's off the front. He's off the front.
Okay.
He just dropped his teammates, it looks like, and said, forget it, I'm gone. Maybe
he wanted to sag
up for a rider. That may be what's going on here. But look what happens when you do this. You don't come with any of the momentum.
Perfect example.
Of the rest of
what
your
a great
team.
example.
right there, and
You've
he
talked
just
about
goes straight
that.
to the back. I mean, you got to have that momentum flying up this hill, all with the feathers, so good on them. Diaz with the kick, though, and had the feather as he was waiting up a little bit, I think. WLC right now currently with second place, though, with the 21-26. They're having a good ride
He's
still. It
going to
just
go
looks
ahead
like
and
there's a little
redrop the
disruption
team.
for a moment. Yeah.
Oh boy! All right. Well, they've got this last just through this sector. They can regroup and work their way back to the finish line because they're through the tougher part of lap number 2 now. Wahoo Lacole. So draft Nathan fastest time by 13 seconds over the team we were just looking at. Ascent third fastest time. Velocio fourth. Condors in with the fifth. Again, we started the fastest teams for, I shouldn't say fastest, the highest placed teams after 6 races. We're starting in that order from first on down. Towle of the Condors.
Yeah, I'm looking out for the Condors, seeing what they're doing. They were the 4th team to go out. 22:03 currently at that 16K mark. Coming out of Chile. It seems like the entire Chilean
Condors
team.
out of Chile. That makes sense. I was wondering. I was just looking up where is the condor from. Condors are kind of like vultures, I think. They're huge wingspan, soaring birds. Scary. What bird isn't, right? Totally. I mean, that's like laughable to say scary bird when everyone knows birds are
multiple
terrifying.
times. I feel like you were like traumatized by the movie Birds as a child or something. Like
Hitchcock's Birds.
Like, yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying I wasn't. I'm not saying I wasn't.
Me neither. I think I was traumatized by that movie as well. The condor, though, I think it's one of the largest wingspans in the world. It's definitely larger.
Maybe
than
that's it. It might even be number 1.
It
exactly.
might be. I think it is the largest wingspan actually in the world. They are a huge bird. The Chileans here,
I want to say endangered as well. Maybe they're on the comeback. But was it the California condor? I believe that's it. At one point, we were down to like 7 or 8 California condors left.
Really?
Yeah, but they were. Yeah, I'll look it up during the race here. But we I think we've done a decent job. Like bald eagles are now, kind of all over, which is awesome because I mean they weren't down to 7 or 8 bald eagles, but and same thing with cranes. So I don't know why. Well, I am encouraging people not to kill birds, and I'd like to work out a peace treaty with birds where they don't kill us, and we don't kill them.
Velocio,
right?
Over the top here now. They are ahead of the Condors by just a little bit, as you can see.
This is a great
22:03 right now.
Great clothing brand.
With Velocio?
Velocio's one. Yeah, it's one of those premier, like the Rafas and Velocios and Essos, just the real high-end. People have a passion for their cycle clothing. And especially in this modern era with so many new cyclists or folks that have just kind of embraced it who are able to throw some resources and make sure they have great equipment.
Yeah,
shorts are worth it.
Shorts are worth it. They are definitely worth it. Jumping in with Crowdgen, Gallopin now as the ladies are going to start finishing up, and I just want to make sure that we highlight all of their efforts toward the finish line across the board. ATP, this is one of those teams with Rachel Lieberman, a rider who definitely is going to be a super strong asset to any team time trial. ATP currently with the Stingers there with the 36:48 at the last time check of 5th place. Crowdge and Gallopin were just looking at battling it with 10 seconds difference between them. So it looks like Gallopin are pulling in ATP currently with a 4th place, or at least separating themselves from ATP, holding on 4th place. Wahoo Lacole, America's 36:06 on the Rivet. Cinderella is continuing to be a little bit of an upset and a surprise, I think, today, as they come through with the 35:37. And I wasn't surprised actually myself because of the name Van Houweling, the name Cassandra Rush, Sarah Bishop, Gallagher. If you say those names, immediately I go to, oh yeah, they've got big power for a long period of time. I might be able to whoop them in a sprint, but watch out if they're going to just set the power and go They are steady riders, and they're showing exactly why they can hold down this second place right now against some of the best in Americas.
So, Nathan, it's interesting, and I know that you literally do hundreds of races. I mean, on just today, the volume's incredible. But what I'm realizing is Riot isn't perfect this season. I think their score was 119, with 120 being the bowling equivalent of
Wahoo Cole,
300.
I think, took him out, right?
It was. I was going to ask. So it was. That was my guess too. So if we both guessed the same thing, that probably puts it about 80%
Laura
chance
Perry
of being
is
right.
pretty good at celebrating her team. There's that too. So I'm pretty sure it was Wahoo Cole. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Wahoo Cole, and I believe it was on the Climbers Gambit that they took out Riot with Esqueda as well as the performance by Perry. But I may be wrong. I have to double check that. But it was very recently that it ended up going down. And there are hundreds of races that we end up going through. We need to hold on to that memory bank well.
I know. Keep taking the memory. Actually, just keep living healthy. So Molly Van Houweling is one of the nicest people I've met in cycling. I was asking her how she's related to Liz Van Houweling. As we have Riot has already finished now. We'll see how these times look. But Liz Van Houweling racing for the American team with Kolchinsky and company on the 26th on Saturday. So her husband, his brother, is married to Liz. I'm not sure what that makes them. Sisters-in-law?
Sisters-in-law, most likely. Yep.
Right.
Van Houweling on the pole, speaking of. Pulling a solid 4.
About Van Houweling, boys.
194 beats per minute right now. Cassandra Rush now heading to the front there for the final pole in the last few hundred meters, up and also 198 beats per minute. You want to talk about suffering right now? Have you ever felt 198 beats per minute? That's I think I've seen
Not
that
recently.
Once in my racing career. Maybe 198 is. I mean,
that's where you see it with those little. Sometimes
Corinne. You don't even see anymore, probably at this point, the amount of effort.
Corinne Rivera showed me a 210 heart rate, and her cadence also, because she had junior gears and at 15 was winning senior sprints. She's only 30 now, but I mean, so heart rate of 210, like a hummingbird, and cadence of 160, 165. Just unbelievable, the capacity that she had. Hey, Aeonian, we love you ladies. Great job. This is a team that has so much heart. Not their day today, but they'll be back.
Lieberman and crew from the ATP team. Stephanie Clark probably going to give a little kick as she is one of their sprinters, unless she's just hanging on at this point. But Lieberman heads back to the front. Candelaro actually going to be the rider who gives a kick with that feather power up. We do see that arrow as well for the hang on from Lieberman. There goes Clark, always with a solid punch. She has been their first across the line fastest through segment scorer throughout the season, and looks like she's going to try and push the team all the way to the line. Good on Clark. Cryogen Galopin, who they've been chasing. Galopin might get the better of them. I think that is what's going to happen, is it's within 27 seconds to the finish line for them. So I think good 30 seconds there for Galopin that they were able to hold off ATP Racing Stingers by. The next ones are going to be the Watt sisters. It's going to be Gingras in the, is this going to be the Radavast kit that they are hanging out in? Some Tour Watopia cap as well. Zwift Academy cap here with Champagne.
Getting to know Champagne, getting to know all of these women and the brothers, the other half of the Les Watt combine up there, the hydro-powered Quebec-based team that's got big numbers, actually. More teams finishing now, as you see the number going red, the flag going red under the cyclist icon there. So Riot's done, OTR's in, WLC, Wahoo Cole is in, ATP's finished. We'll have Cryogen across the line, I'm sure, shortly. Actually, that'll all update in just a moment. But Les Watt sisters, last couple hundred meters here. This one is done and dusted. Sisu Du now. They'll have Catherine Curie racing in Worlds.
Looking through Sisu, I raced like a girl. Do this is Sisu Do. They're 37:02. They're currently in 6th place as they came through that 24K mark. We'll see if they were able to hold on. Was it a close race? Maybe between them and Royal City. Looks like Absolute Finesse is out here as well.
Well,
Smith from ATP, as well as Eisenhower here. We've got some of the stragglers rolling in together. Good to see that some of the teams that are not necessarily on the same team, but working together to get themselves across the finish line. Peter's here with Baker, Monks, Catherine Monks, Pellerin, Quick is there as well. So Canadian-American representation on this team as Peters pulls through at 180 beats per minute for Absquay Finesse, presented by Wolf. Having a tougher day out here today, though. 37:59 was the time they brought in, all the way down in 8th place, actually. How does that compare for the series overall? I felt like AF were having a good season. 77 points, actually, so maybe actually going to bump them up a little bit on the day.
yeah. Yeah, it's we talked about that in earlier broadcasts about the teams that are specialists in the team's time trial, and Absquay Finesse is it. I put them right in the middle there. Some of the teams certainly, when you look at it, Riot has so much experience in this discipline; it really pays off. But they certainly look great. Absquay Finesse presented by Wolf right now. Get this lined out. So
here. Irish. Thanks a lot for coming on in. A big shout out to all the teams out there, but shout
Neil.
out to Rave Heart, Rave Beast, as well as the Rave Party. Always a shout out to the Rave teams and their huge support of Zwift racing, the women's scene, the recruitment that they've been doing for the women's team, specifically around racing, though. There was one thing that Anna highlighted when she did a little bit of an interview with them and chatted with them, and she did the course recon, and it was definitely said that Rave is about racing. Like, they want to introduce women to the world of Zwift racing, and absolutely love that goal that they have. And if you ever want to hang out with a cool party on Zwift racing, definitely get in contact.
Get you pumped up,
Rave.
get you out
if you're
there.
a lady out there, it's like, what's this all about? Let's go. They've got all levels of racers.
Yeah, and they had big energy and encouraging and just a great launching pad if you're looking to get into racing, for sure. They'll get you sorted out with, jump in on Thursdays with WTRL and the team time trial. It's a great place to start. And it's for every level as well. It's really worth noting. Ed Veal, that's a high level. When you talk about the Canadian Veal here, draft is getting close to done. Nathan, inside 2K to go. They've got the fastest time so far. They've got the bona fides. They've been a top team for a long time out here and will remain so. I expect them to have a good run here. Bruce Bird, another legend. I'm a big fan of Bruce Bird.
Yeah, trying to get those 24K through. We'll see if we can get a fix on that, everybody. Currently, it is going to be drafted at the top. Ascent Cycling, followed by Wahoo Lacole. Only maybe a little bit of surprise out here is going to be the Condors have a worse time than Velocio. So by a pretty significant margin, it looks like. And Velocio definitely going to, or the Condors definitely going to be ahead in the points overalls, though. So we might see a little bit of swap up here with those 2 points differentiation that you can see there between them. So Condors here trying to hold on, but Velocio looking to try and maybe get the better of them on the day, maybe make up a point and get into that 4th place position, or at least tied for 4th place before we hit the final race in the 8-week series. Not going to change the playoff situation. Really, the playoff situation is between Wahoo Lacole and Ascent at this point. Ascent, it looks like, are going to hold on if they can go all the way to the line. The question is, what is those seconds there that are kind of hidden from us? We're keeping it a little bit secret here at this point. Veal.
Well, if you
here,
pay the
Swords
access
and
fee,
Bird.
$5.99 to Dave Dole at.
Access fee.
So that's the next phase, right? We have members only material that you get, right? No, I don't know what's going on. I've never seen that before, actually. Bruce Bird is
Some wrapping
Very,
text or something. There could be some wrapping
yeah.
text. I don't know. There's maybe.
I have a strong feeling that you see the 31 part that tells you that Draft still has the fastest time. After and there's no doubt they're going to finish up here with an outstanding ride today. This is an all-star team. The Canadian squad Draft is done and dusted.
It's also a team that you call them mainly TT types. I mean, they're definitely
all big engine guys.
Exactly. You just throw down lots of watts for a long period of time. I'd want to get in a break with some of those guys. I'd also want to go to the line with some of them. I'd be fine with that. but they just put down watts for quite a long time. I do not want to try and close a gap to them. I don't want to do that at all.
Well, and that was what you used to see Bruce Burt doing in Premier, right? Was those late race attacks.
Just going off the front, and they're forcing people to do things they do not want to do at that point.
You call the teams out. It forces the teams with the sprinters to chase you back and play some cards. And certainly they're game changers out there. That's Draft we're talking about. This is Ray and the Ascent team. Just about 400 meters to go. They'll see the arch in just a second. And a tough 32K of racing, 2 laps today. Richmond reverse. They're about to put paid 43 minutes of racing, just under that. Ouch.
We saw quite the moves. Jeremy Ray has been kind of a standout for me this season. Just want to shout him out because he's made some crazy last-ditch efforts to take some cool wins actually this season. So shout out to him and the rest of the Ascent crew. Diaz here from WLC leading things out, saving up that power up. I did this to my team last week. I called it out. I'm going all in with K to go, 500 meters to go, and I threw down my aero power up and nobody was ready for it. Instant gap. Exactly this happened. They did not hold on to my wheel. And next thing you know, it was totally useless what I did. And so definitely
backfired.
Your team's got to be fully ready to grab the wheel and know what's coming at them. And a lot of times the team is either not paying attention or just doesn't have what you're asking of them at that moment. Like it's one or the other. And so the game mechanics and being able to hang on to the wheels and being exactly where your avatar needs to be is such a precise thing at this point. Really, really surgical, I would say even. And well practiced team though can really get it down. And afterwards, the team I was riding with last week, I really commended them because they've been working on it. It had been really obvious and really took it seriously. Any feedback? They were like, you got any feedback whatsoever? Let us know. And there was a couple things like this or that. But because of that, though, and the way that they took that, you could tell during the ride even and during the TTT that they had already practiced so many things and paid attention to their feedback internally. They'd yelled at each other enough about problems that they worked it out and heard each other. And it was like, wow, it was some of the best TTing I'd ever done, actually. I was really impressed by it.
Sometimes it's good, too, to get someone in to give you an outsider's opinion on things as well. I was wondering what that flag was for Diaz there just a moment ago on Wahoo the Colt. The Chilean rider bringing them across the line. Oh, it's there. Same flag there for Cuevas on the Condors here. So Chile starting to come on strong, Nathan. Looks like, is the entire Condors team Chilean?
The person in the dragon outfit. This is just a great comment.
Yeah.
So the person in the dragon outfit in Neokyo by the all-nighter start is part of the greater background story of McCurry Islands, Kaiju versus robot battle, claw climb, robot parts on trains, etc. So we need the full. Is this written somewhere or
where is this lore being told?
Well,
is
there's
it passed
lore.
down?
There is lore somewhere, obviously. I think this is actually somewhat
somehow
true.
Matt Stevens knew about this, so it's almost like the handwritten book of Kells or something. It's only 2 copies, and they're getting passed around. So I'm surprised that you don't know the lore of McCurry at this point, Nathan. Someone get Nathan the info, please.
Yeah. Nathan's been on Zwift for too long, maybe. and he only knows Watopia. I only know the old lore. I only know the old the old lore.
Jarvis,
The lore of,
it's Jarvis,
the lore of
etc.
times gone
Yeah,
way by. I'm not part of the new dynasty.
which is clearly very multifaceted, and layered, and complicated, and sophisticated.
It is an all Chilean team, the Condors, actually. We're being from Alejandro Malia. He's letting us know we're hoping to recruit Chilean guy from WLC for next season. Davis,
Viva Chile.
He just straight up called out Davis. Hey, Davis! From the other team. He publicly just was straight up like, come on over. Not even a DM. Just, hey, come over to our team.
Chilean love. Come on. Right?
Oh, boy.
Good for them, though. That's nice to see. That's how it all begins. NZ Bro had to start somewhere, Nathan.
True.
Next thing you know, we'll have Chileans all over the shop. We'll look forward to it. Class to join up.
Well, as we take a look at the W Bro SRT, this is going to be Super Radagast coming on in. They're in 7th place currently. It's behind them. Be more Rebels. Velo Optimum. Les Guerreras. Is that Warriors? I want to say. From the Lay Watt Brothers as well. Oh, oh man. The chat at YouTube. Oh boy. As Be More Rebels here now. I'm loving this. Reminds me, we
Is it
mentioned
spicy?
this before. Well, a little bit.
I
Not
don't,
really. Not really. No, not
no,
really.
they don't really get spicy, do they?
What was the team? The Zwift Crank and Daddies. This reminds me of the Zwift ZCDs, because this kit was what the ZCDs used, the Zwift Crank and Daddies.
Oh, right.
As we've got a few Americans here with one German hanging out. It's going to be late night over in Germany. Whew.
Could be a German in America. Remember, we've learned that.
I mean, this is a time
although that's
Nathan
not
would
that
race. I mean,
late.
I race sometimes at this time.
A night owl German? I wonder how they say night owl. They probably, like, does every country around the world look at owls the way Americans do?
Hey, I want to shout out to Barney here real quick, because we did not cover the East. We covered Central this week, but he just told us that there was a 4-point swing in the East Division 1 leaderboard.
Hey, good luck at Worlds, James. James Barnes is certainly a rider I'm pulling for. Great guy. That's awesome to see that you can see 4-point swings. Tells you that things aren't over until it's over for some of these teams looking to try to claw back.
It's a really big day, actually. So solid effort there. Good to see you. Let's go, Barney. Barney's in chat over at Twitch, and we're excited for you for this week. Man, you think about it, and the biggest race of some people's career is this weekend, right? Like,
nobody has been winning like James Barnes. I mean, he was the dominant rider in ZRL the previous season.
Big time. So a lot of these teams just
he's got the creds, the bona fides. Yeah.
Dave, real quickly, I mean, we're talking about that. We do know that some of you are hanging out here for the next broadcast and are thinking about what is the setup that you're going to be using. Some of you are just starting to get warmed up for your race or thinking about jumping on the bike, and you're tuning into the broadcast for the West. So we do try to play them at the beginning of the broadcast, but we'll throw this one out there at the end. Anna and the Riot team, obviously she knows what she's talking about since they won the race out here. So we'll go ahead and throw out our In the Pens conversation with them in just a moment here with Anna and what your setup should be. So stick around for that. I will also show you a couple highlight videos for Worlds this weekend. Let's take a look at the results. As with the ladies, this was the situation. And Team Riot pulling it off again, doing what they do. At the top by a full 40 seconds. But the Cinderellas, they were the come-ups today, 40 seconds back. But second place, Wahoo Lacole America's there, settling for third. Crouching Galloping in fourth. It's going to be ATP Racing Stingers in fifth. Sisu Du in sixth there. Royal City. 1 second difference between sixth and seventh place. Oh, no, excuse me. I thought it was 37. No, it's going to be 11 seconds. Still a tight race. And then back 337 with AF Solstice. Lewat Sisters, 413 back in 9th. Spero, Washington. I think it's WA. Is it going to be Washington? They're in 10th there. And
We don't.
Maybe not.
Don't
Maybe
count
not?
on it. Yep.
Don't count
Yep,
on it.
maybe
all right,
not.
Don't count on it. All right. Women's America.
There was a lack of confidence from Dave.
That was.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. GLV women there for 11th place there. So on the men's side of things, times are just going to start coming in. Dave, take it away for us, though. We got our top 8 so far.
I like that you're adding bonus content with Anna as well. Believe me, if you haven't chosen your bike yet, you'll want to check that out. Draft Day Command Performance out here. They're going to take the win. They made the most watts as well. Actually, look at that, though. The Condors technique will help them climb up that final the table here. Ascent Cycling finishes with the silver medal today. Wahoo Lacole America's 3rd. Velocio Lux in 4th. Condors in 5th. It's good to have the Chilean squad in the mix. Ratagase, Lewat brothers in 6th. Be More Rebels in 7th. And Velo Optimum CC in 8th. Great racing today, everybody.
For the rest of the results across all the categories, head on over to WTRL.racing. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Anna has to say. This is going to be, this will conclude our broadcast for us, but we'll be back in just a couple, about an hour from now with Kate Bates sitting where I'm at, coming out of Australia. Dave's going to be sitting right next to her, and they'll be calling America's West for us in just a little bit. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit those follow buttons, subscribe, comment, as well as like. It helps a ton for the broadcast. Thanks a lot for everybody for tuning in, as always. Great job to the riders, and ride on.
Hello and welcome to your In the Pens whiteboard session. I'm Anna Russell, the whiteboard queen, from Nathan, not from me, but here we go. We've got Richmond UCI reverse, 2 laps today in the TTT. Now I know you're probably sitting in there feeling pretty nervous about how to approach these climbs and maybe even your bike choice. I'm going to go through the bike choice today. So, got to say, Tron is probably a good option for this one, just because you're hitting those 3 climbs back to back in the first parts of this race. Then you've got a lot of flat, but if you're not a climber, are you a bit nervous about them, you might want to go for that more lightweight setup of the Tron. Now, if you're okay with the climbs, I'm probably going to go personally for the Specialized Venge S-Works with their DT Swiss disc. Just because I kind of like the climbs, they're a bit punchy. You can get up out of the saddle, push through the weight of the disc, and then you're going to be feeling really good on the rest of the flat parts of the course because that disc wheel just hums along so nicely, and you're going to kind of get a good aero advantage there. Now, some may say maybe a climbing setup on this course. I'm not sure about that. You're going to really, really struggle on the flats. I mean, you're definitely not going to go a Specialized Atheos. You're definitely not going to go some Millensteins. You're not sitting in there for a 20-minute climb. These climbs are short, less than 2 minutes. I would definitely be going that disc. Now, I know not all of you have the disc at the moment. If you don't have the Tron either, then I'd be looking at something like the Zip 808s with maybe the Canyon Aero Road 2021 would be my choice. Now, have a great race out there. We're just kind of experimenting with these pre-race in the pens sort of chit-chats about whiteboards. Today, we've obviously talked a little bit about bike choice. Maybe next week we'll go through to some sports psychology, how to get the most out of yourself. Maybe we could have a look at a bit more of a course kind of recon. You've got the great recons out there, but we'll have a look at that. But yep, there we go. This is it. In the pens with the whiteboard session, bike choice, Tron or disc. Good luck out there, guys. Have a great race.
Don't hide from bad feelings, 'cause they just want your words. I won't let them take me. No, I won't let them break me. No one on this earth can bring me down. Now I'm standing tall.